God has you situated. God has you situated. Now, Corinth was a city that was situated. It was important because it was a cosmopolitan city that also represented a seaport. And it was a flourishing place in terms of culture because you kind of had to go through Corinth. It was the third largest city by population in its time. The only cities that were bigger than Corinth would be Rome and Alexandria. So Corinth is not only populated, but it's situated. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. It was a very important city because it was a port city. And that meant that the ships came through there and it was situated well enough that distribution could happen and trade could happen and commerce could happen because of where Corinth was situated. On the other hand, Corinth was a very ungodly city because the same situation that made it so effective for business made it susceptible to temptation. Corinth was a city where there was a lot of sexual immorality. You know, back in the Bible times, they had different problems than we have today. They had sexual immorality even in the church. Some people were messing around in the church at Corinth. Can you believe those crazy Christians at Corinth? And Paul spent 18 months with them, and he couldn't cast out all these sexual devils. He couldn't cast out all of these idolatry devils. They were so greedy, they were getting drunk off the Lord's communion wine in Corinth. A bunch of crazy Christians in Corinth. I used to find it funny. People would say, I don't go to Elevation. Back when we used to start, they would say, I don't go to Elevation because some of the people that go there aren't very good Christians. And I would always think that should be your invitation to join us. I always wish I could put a closed circuit camera in their house when they talk like that. Just a little Nest cam so I can catch you in the middle of the night doing the crazy stuff you do. But really, no, really, to get to the core of how crazy you are, I couldn't put the camera in a room. I'd have to put it And Paul is talking to a group of people who are very important to him. He's invested a lot in them, and they've hurt him deeply. Nobody can really hurt you deeply if you haven't invested in them greatly. The proof that I love you is that I have the capacity to hate you. You can't hate somebody you don't love. You can ignore them. You can be annoyed by them. You can be perturbed by them, then you can pray for them, but you can't hate somebody that you don't love. It's not that Paul hates the Corinthian church. It's that his relationship with them is so important, not only to him personally. Now, it's important personally. We find out more about Paul through his writings to the Corinthian church than anything else he wrote in the Bible. The book of Romans, if you want to really understand Paul's theological construct for justification by faith in Christ, not through works of the law, you should go to the book of Romans. But if you want to see inside of Paul's mind, how he thinks not only about our relationship with God, but his relationship with others, you should read 1st and 2nd Corinthians, and it might interest you to know that as powerful as Paul was with God, he still had dysfunctional relationships with people through which God worked to get the gospel to the earth. The church at Corinth was important for Paul. It served, as it were, as a hinge for the gospel to go forth into the hitherto previously unevangelized Gentile world. This important church in a seaport city that was established by the apostle himself, and now he's having to write them about a conflict that should have been resolved by now.
Pod cut?